Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, the Juan F. Louis Hospital will not be relocating this month. The CEO of the hospital made the announcement during a broadcast that infrastructural work still needs to be completed at the cardiac center in preparation of the transition. The CEO also exclaimed in a radio interview that uncollected revenue has hampered the efficiency of many hospitals, including Juan F. Louis. Stephanie Brown reports.
Members of the Juan F. Louis Hospital executive team informed that the hospital has for a long time battled with collecting monies to efficiently operate its services.
As you know, we are a community hospital. Because we receive Medicare and Medicaid federal funding, we're governed by EMTALA law, which means if someone presents to the emergency department, at a minimum, they must be stabilized, and we cannot turn them away.
EMTALA law, also known as the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, has become widely controversial.
Based on the resources in our community, whether it be the government or the individual, many times there are persons who present to the emergency department and are eventually admitted who are unable to pay for their bill.
Sure. Financial pressures of unpaid medical bills have caused many hospitals nationally to consolidate and close its facilities, contributing to emergency room overcrowding.
And hence we rely on supplemental income from the government of the Virgin Islands to assist us to cover those persons who cannot pay for their medical care.
Currently, corroded and collapsing pipelines have caused sewage drainage backup issues at the facility's emergency department, but infrastructural issues have reportedly been brought up before.
And I've gone back. I've looked at historical board meeting minutes, years worth of board meeting minutes, and the topics that were discussed 6, 7, 8 years ago. If I were to change the date on those minutes,
sure,
you would not be able to tell the difference between the meeting of 8 years ago. They had the same issues going on years ago.
A statement from the hospital informed that the cardiac center's infrastructure is being worked on in preparation to receive the emergency department's transitional move. For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Well, Richard Evangelista remarked that quality health care and patient safety are the top priorities at the hospital, and he further expressed that the hospital administration wants to ensure that when the transition does occur, everyone will continue to receive nothing but the best, deserving of all Virgin Islanders. Count on 2 to keep you updated. Well, horse racing bill amendments on anti-doping and Racino tax, as well as establishing a single horse racing commission, that's still being discussed in an Economic Development and Agriculture Committee session by members of the 32nd Legislature. The Office of the Governor created a media package pushing the anti-doping legislation to be acted on swiftly, which Senator Violet commented was hasty. Violet had further informed that legislation was being worked on efficiently and was progressing well. Today, the amended bills were shared on the floor, and the Attorney General gave his opinion on Bill 32-0092. Here's more from that session.
These bills are submitted from the 31st Legislature. Both bills have been amended, and those amendments will be passed out shortly. Before I speak specifically to the 2 bills, I also have to dispel what the chairman tried to cover before, in which the legislature or certain members of the legislature, myself and Senator James, were painted that we were against anti-doping policies. And I never could understand the rationale as to why individuals said that, just because we didn't pass the bill when it came down to us during the 31st Legislature. Bills that are as comprehensive and regulate the industry as these 2 will do, it needed to be studied, amended, so it can serve the people of the Virgin Islands.
The Unified Horse Racing Commission will result in standardized practices, policies, and procedures. Currently, the law states that each commission shall have the powers and duties and authority as are prescribed by law. This can only lead to stark differences in the operations of the 2 districts.
Well, here's some reaction to the majority caucus today. They released a statement voicing strong exception to the tone and content of a press release issued by the Democratic Party District Chair, Mr. Edgar Baker Phillips, on June 15, 2017, which stated that Senate Democrats should leave the party unless they are willing to immediately seat Kevin Rodriguez. Well, the caucus made it clear that it intends to remain focused on the issue at hand, according to a press release, and that its members will fulfill their duties with the utmost respect, professionalism, and fairness, while expressing strong commitment to the principles of the Democratic Party. The caucus stated its belief that the district chair's position does absolutely no good for anyone, Mr. Rodriguez, the party, or the electorate. The caucus further emphasized that the members of the electorate, particularly those in the St. Thomas St. John district, are the ones being disenfranchised. And they say we shall resolve this issue as soon as possible. There is a process that must be followed, and we will do so diligently and within the requirements of the law, as well as the rules of the first branch of government. Senate Majority Leader Neville James stated that while there are many points of view that have been expressed regarding this matter, at no time was the caucus trying to shun away from its responsibilities. From day one, he says, this matter has been in the hands of the court, an equal branch of government. As such, it would have been improper to attempt to wrestle it out of their hands. We will take the high road and dispense of this matter in full view of the public in the appropriate time and fashion. Be sure to count on 2 to keep you updated. Turning to the courts, Ronaldo Morone, 44 of St. Thomas, was sentenced today to 60 months in prison for conspiracy to possess with the intent to distribute cocaine. That's District Court Judge Curtis Gomez also sentenced Morone to serve 5 years of supervised release, pay a $100 special assessment, and to perform 400 hours of community service. Court records indicate on December 12, 2016, Morone pleaded guilty to conspiracy to possess with the intent to distribute cocaine. According to the plea agreement, on October 20, 2016, Morone attempted to sell an individual approximately 4 kilograms of a white powdery substance that tested positive for cocaine. Also, Waleed John, 37 of St. Thomas, was sentenced to 10 months in prison for possession of a firearm by a person convicted of a crime of domestic violence. Judge Curtis Gomez also sentenced John to serve 3 years of supervised release, pay a $100 special assessment, and perform 400 hours of community service. On December 12, 2016, John pleaded guilty to possession of a firearm by a person convicted of a crime of domestic violence. According to the plea agreement, on October 20, 2016, John admitted to being in possession of a firearm and that he had been previously convicted of a domestic violence offense in 2012. Also, Christian Lopez Moncion, 35 of the Dominican Republic, pleaded guilty in federal court to possession of a firearm by an illegal alien. According to the plea agreement filed with the court on August 6, 2016, the VIPD responded to Main Street after a report of shots fired. Lopez Moncion admitted that he was in possession of a Glock 9mm firearm. The Glock was examined and determined that it had been modified to operate as a fully automatic firearm. It was determined that Lopez Moncion is not a legal resident of the United States and is not licensed to possess a firearm in the Virgin Islands. Lopez Moncion faces a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. A sentencing date has been set for October 13, 2017. Well, in other news, as we shared yesterday, the USS Gabriel Giffords, the Navy's newest littoral combat ship, was brought to life by her crew before a crowd of nearly 2,500 guests at Pier 21 at the port of Galveston, Texas. And in 2012, then Secretary of the Navy Ray Mobus announced the future ship's name. The ship is commanded by Navy Commander Keith Woodley, who is a native of St. Thomas, USVI, and he leads the core crew of 50 officers and enlisted personnel, the new class of the ship. VI Delegate Stacy Plaskett congratulated the VI commander. Here's more.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With this being Caribbean Heritage Month, I wanted to highlight and congratulate a native Virgin Islander who is now the new commander of the USS Gabriel Giffords, which was commissioned this past weekend in Texas. The USS Gabriel Giffords, the 16th ship to be named for a woman and only the 13th ship to be named for a living person since 1850, is in fact commanded by Keith Woodley, a native of St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, a graduate of Florida A&M and the Florida Institute of Technology. At the commissioning of the ship, Commander Woodley stated, "This is not just a new ship, this is a new class of ship. The crew have risen to that challenge and performed exceptionally well in getting the ship ready for service." I would be remiss in also acknowledging, during Caribbean American Month, Alton Adams, born 1889, who was also from St. Thomas and the U.S. Navy's first bandmaster. His music was performed by numerous bands and continues to be performed.
Well, the grass is mowed and the stadium is buzzing. As an update here, as Republican and Democratic lawmakers are taking the field at Nationals Park for the annual congressional baseball game. But this year, the atmosphere, of course, will be dramatically different after a gunman opened fire on the GOP team practicing yesterday. Congressman Steve Scalise, the majority whip in the House, remains in critical condition. One of 4 people shot before local and Capitol police officers were able to take down the gunman. At a time when Washington is mired in political showdowns and stalemates, it appears nearly every lawmaker is coming together in solidarity. Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers, we can see everything down. The Dow down 14, NASDAQ 29 down, S&P 500 down 5. Coming up on News 2, we have much more straight ahead, including news from around the Caribbean. That's coming up next. Welcome back. Turning our attention to St. Lucia, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, they are working with the St. Lucia government on a disaster preparedness plan, and they are offering training on disaster risk management. Here's more.
The Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, is working with the St. Lucia government on a disaster preparedness project. Having had more than its fair share of natural disasters, Japan, through JICA, has been offering training on disaster risk reduction management and post-disaster recovery as part of the agency's capacity building support to developing countries. We hear more in this report from Don Nicholas.
Every third Saturday of the month, a team of Japanese and St. Lucian volunteers undertake a major 1-hour cleanup of the Rodney Bay area. The purpose is to encourage St. Lucian citizens to be more conscious of protecting their environment. A number of young ones have joined the effort.
So by sorting out and determining that garbage, then you know who should you target in that zone. Right? So this is what we want to focus, and be that Saturday, upcoming Saturday, is the third Saturday. So we want persons to come out and join us. And as time goes by, we want to see a greater emphasis in it being a St. Lucian activity.
To this end, a team of St. Lucians who studied in Japan are required to undertake projects in various fields upon their return home. Right now, they are focusing on disaster preparedness, which starts with the proper disposal of waste.
The government of Japan, what they do, they submit various topics and groups to St. Lucia, and St. Lucians go out to study in Japan. Upon completing your studies, you come back to St. Lucia with a work program, something that you are bound to do, and that still would be supported by the people of Japan. What we have done this year, this is a new executive. We took office in March, and along with the Japanese, we have some areas of focus. The emphasis that they want to assist St. Lucia with would be disaster prevention, the environment, fisheries, and to a large extent, manufacturing.
Turn our attention back here to St. Thomas. Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority advises the St. Thomas community that garbage collection in the following areas had been delayed due to mechanical failure of the collection trucks, which includes Behind Weeks Bakery, Current Terrace Housing Community, Gladys Abraham Elementary School, the Union Road, Frenchtown, Tropical Bins, Limburg Bay, Content Knolls, Cancrine Junior High School, Washington School, Vitima, Department of Property and Procurement, VI Department of Labor, Department of Education School Lunch Program, Department of Public Works Motor Pool, Department of Planning and Natural Resources. Now the VI Waste Management is making every effort, they say, to resume normal collection hours. The authority apologizes for any inconvenience. For more information, you can contact the Office of Communications Management. That number is 340-715-9188. Well, the Office of the Governor, in conjunction with the St. Thomas Water Island Administrator, Merwin Potter, they have organized a major cleanup of the hospital ground community that began earlier this week. The administrator's office met with hospital ground residents last Friday evening in order to address residents' concerns and to outline plans for the cleanup. Representatives from the Joint Task Force included staff from the Department of Planning and Natural Resources, the Virgin Islands Fire Service, and the VI Waste Management Authority. Dumping of debris and large household items at trash sites, illegal automobile repair shops within residential areas, and collapsed roads were major areas of concern for residents, but they were assured by Administrator Potter that their concerns would be addressed. Residents were encouraged to join the task force this week and organize and be caretakers of the community. The major cleanup initiative includes the investigation of and patching of roads, garbage collection, debris removal, removal of damaged bins, and placement of larger bins to accommodate the growing community. Acting Governor Osbert Potter has proclaimed June as the Virgin Islands Housing Month. The Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority was created by the Virgin Islands government on October 20th, 1981, after approval of Act Number 4636 by the legislature of the VI to operate the affordable housing program. In collaboration with the Virgin Islands Housing Authority, it has created diverse housing opportunities for eligible applicants. He says for over 33 years, many Virgin Islanders have achieved the housing dream through low-interest mortgage loans, major rehabilitation and revitalization projects, increased availability of affordable housing, and joint efforts of the government and the private industry. Acting Governor Potter wrote in his proclamation, "It is in the public's best interest and essential to the public health and welfare to continue to encourage home ownership and provide decent, safe, and sanitary housing for persons of low and moderate incomes. Residents are encouraged to support various agencies and the services that they provide." He said, "I urge all residents to join with me in supporting agencies of the federal and Virgin Islands government and their efforts to provide safe, decent, sanitary, and affordable housing for the people of the territory." Acting Governor Potter underscored the importance of affordable housing, home ownership, and a healthy housing industry in building equity, creating jobs, and growing and developing the territory. Well, many of you frequent a popular media site called What's Going On St. Thomas, where everything and anything happening in the Virgin Islands is discussed and shared. The man responsible for that page held an event this past weekend called Floatapalooza that was on Sunday, June 11th at Brewers Bay, St. Thomas. The event was a fundraiser for my brother's workshop, and here's more on the page that was started 3 years ago and the fundraising event that was held this weekend.
I wanted to be able to let everybody know what was going on, like what our happy hours were, our specials were, and as someone who likes to go out, I wanted to know what was happening in Frenchtown or Red Hook or all the other areas in the island, and you couldn't really do that unless you called every bar and restaurant. So initially the page was going to be to know what was happening at bars and restaurants, or if there was a beach party or something fun, and then it quickly just started growing. I mean, finding a spot for a community that could bring everyone together, it ended up being so much more than that. You know what I mean? Because that didn't exist before that. There wasn't a place where you could find Craigslist and your lost dog and where to buy a car and where to find an apartment and where to complain about, you know, a pile of garbage on the side of the road. I mean, people use it for everything. Mostly good. Sometimes people go on there just to complain, but it's a voice now for everybody in a way. Like, it's really given everyone a voice where we can post something and there's a good chance that the governor could find out if it's something worth saying. But this was the first one with a theme, sort of bring a float around, have fun. The last beach party we threw, we had a small spot for donations, and it was small, and we raised about $100, which was small. but I knew next time I wanted to make it a very central part of the party. I mean, we're having fun anyways. We might as well try to raise money for a worthy cause. And I've been very impressed with my brother's workshop and all the work that they do with the youth and people who need help. You know, they don't have many other opportunities, so I really like the idea of them and, you know, raising money for them during this organization while having fun. And we had a DJ show up, which was cool. That was all sort of donated as well. He showed up and played music, and the amount of floats that showed up was really, really great. We kind of had them all tied together, which worked out well. Nobody floated away.
Be sure to log on now. Harold monitors the page daily. He says the page has about 1,000 added every 20 to 30 days, and right now about 35,000 followers, including lots of people from the States who are looking to relocate to the VI. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
Summer 2017 may be the hottest one yet, as the St. Kitts Music Festival celebrates 21 years of world-class music from June 22nd to the 24th. Come and experience the intoxicating beauty of St. Kitts while enjoying sizzling hot performances by Third World, Shabba Ranks, Kugu Dolls, Mavado, Jackie, and a whole lot more. Follow your heart to the St. Kitts Music Festival this June. It's sure to be an experience like no other.
We have a high pressure system to our north, which means we have a moderate trade wind moving through, and that's really going to continue through Wednesday. So we also have a tropical wave to the south of us. It's really not going to reach us. We're going to stay pretty dry here for the next couple of days. We're about 2 inches below our average rainfall, so it's a bit dry, but we do have some relief in sight with a second tropical wave that is marching in our direction. So for tonight, 81 degrees and dry, partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, 91 degrees in St. John, mostly sunny conditions, and a similar story for St. Thomas and also for St. Croix, a bit cooler there, 88 degrees for the high temperature, and everyone is going to have plenty of sunshine. If you're heading to the beach, not a bad day to jump in the ocean, maybe snorkel. Waves are only 2 to 4 feet, winds out of the east from 10 to 15 knots. We don't have any advisories to tell you about, and it's a very similar story here for the Caribbean side. 2 to 4 feet for our waves, and the same for the waves, or for the winds, excuse me, out of the east from 10 to 15 knots. So if you're on a boat out there, should be pretty pleasant as far as your conditions. So Friday through much of the week, we're going to stay very dry here. Temperatures at 91 degrees. But Monday, well, that's when we're going to start seeing the effects of that second tropical storm, tropical wave, I should say. We're going to have an uptick in showers throughout the day on Monday, and they will continue through Tuesday. So 91 degrees for the high temperature there, with our lows in the low 80s. Back to you.
Thank you. Look at the sunshine and rainbow there by Destiny King, 7th grader representing Niski Moravian School. Great picture there, Destiny. Nice choice of colors. Send us your News 2 weather picture. You too can be featured right here on News 2. Just send it to the address on the screen. Be sure to include your name, age, school, and a brief description of your picture, and then you can tune in. See it right here on News 2. That is all for now. We'd like to thank you for joining us for all the latest. I'm Sandra Guman saying have a wonderful evening.